Hi, my name's Tom Dyson, and what I'm holding in my hands could make you rich. I call this a magic contract because this special piece of paper gives ordinary Americans and Canadians the ability to retire tax-free without having to report to the IRS or any other government agency. Currently, our research shows this is only available in North America. It's 100% legal. Recently, I've told many friends, family members, and colleagues about this, and now, armed with their own magic contracts, they are all on their way to their own abundant tax-free retirements. For example, my colleague Tim will have over $2 million by the time he retires. My friend Greg has already used this money from his contract to buy a beach house on the Maryland shore. And Paul, a small business owner, told me he wished he'd known about this 25 years ago. He'd already be retired. So what's so special about this contract? Well, for one, you don't have to worry about creditors. Thanks to this contract, your money is safe. You can also pass on your wealth to future generations, free of income taxes. You don't have to declare a dime of your profits to Uncle Sam. And in some cases, you can also get guaranteed growth of 4% a year, about 100 times more than what most banks pay. That's why I say this contract is magic, because in all my years as a certified accountant and investment analyst working with some of the biggest financial institutions in the world, I've never before seen a single document that gives average, everyday citizens, people like you and me, so much power. Maybe that's why some of America's most well-known politicians, businessmen and celebrities have already secured their own magic contracts, and it's why I currently have 6 in place for my own family. I'll tell you exactly where you can get your own contract in a minute, but first, I'm sure you have some ideas in mind. So I should clarify what this is not. Now, this is not some kind of insurance annuity. It's not a real estate contract. There's nothing tax-free or guaranteed about that. And it's not a bond or stock certificate either. In fact, this magic contract is about as far removed from Wall Street as possible. You see, the companies that issue these special papers, I've located about a dozen so far, don't even trade on the stock exchange. That's why the only way you've probably heard about this before is if you accidentally stumbled onto it, because your broker's not going to tell you about it, and the government is also trying its best to make sure you don't hear about this. You see, they restrict the companies that issue these magic contracts from advertising them to the public. As a result, less than 1% of all Americans have a magic contract set up, while more than half the population has a 401k or similar retirement account. So then the question is, why have these contracts been kept so secret? I'll get to that in a minute, but first, let's take a glimpse at who's been using them. President John F. Kennedy had his own magic contract. So did President Roosevelt. In fact, here's a paper we found in the Georgia archives that shows FDR held about $560,000. That's over $7 million in today's money inside this special contract. John A. Macdonald, Canada's first Prime Minister, also had one, as did Senators John McCain, Mark Warner, who is the richest member of Senate, and Vice President Biden. Top bankers and Fortune 500 executives in the know have also been using the corporate version of this magic contract for years now. Why? Because it allows them to safely earn generous yield on their money, about 5.5% on average, while everyone else has been stuck chasing low-paying CDs, bonds, and dividends. In fact, this magic contract has proven so powerful, the Wall Street Journal recently declared that it's become a tax shelter for the rich. It gives the affluent tax advantages far beyond those available to middle-income people through a 401k or IRA. But it's not just rich people who have been taking advantage of this contract, as we'll now see. With a master's degree in finance, you'd think Robert Andrews would have a leg up on most investors. Not so. In fact, as Robert told me over a round of golf, it seemed like every time he'd put $5,000 or $10,000 in his 401k, the market would tank and he'd be no further ahead than before. I've gotten to know Robert pretty well over the last few months. He now makes his living as a financial writer, and at one time, he was even a financial analyst at HP. But back in 2000, despite Robert's knowledge in the markets, the financial collapse took away a good part of his portfolio. That's when he went looking for a better alternative. After a strenuous 10-year search, he eventually found out about the magic contract. Robert told me that not only has he never lost a single dime with this contract, but in 3 years it grew to over $30,000 tax-free. He even used some of the money to buy gold and go away on a trip. Incredible. It definitely sounded too good to be true. I mean, in all my life as a certified accountant and financial analyst, I'd studied just about every investment out there, and not once have I ever come across this unique investment before. It wasn't related to stocks, to bonds, CDs, precious metals, or real estate. And although these returns were all but guaranteed over the long term, And one company we found even guaranteed 4% returns. It wasn't an annuity either. That's great, by the way, because although annuities have become quite popular of late, they're not the bastions of security they're made out to be. So I dove headfirst into research. I read whatever materials I could get my hands on. Books, old newspaper articles, government records, you name it. I talked to the wealthiest people I knew. I talked to experts. I even flew in the man widely considered to be the top expert on magic contracts so I could interview him in person. What I eventually discovered was that yes, this special contract was in fact a legitimate wealth vehicle that's been used in America for over 150 years. And what's more, it runs totally outside the controls of the US government and Wall Street. You see, even though this contract is 100% legal, when set up properly, you don't have to report it to the IRS. That's why it grows, and you can withdraw your money 100% tax-free anytime you like. I believe that's one of the reasons the government places tight restrictions on the advertising of these contracts, because they can't make a dime off them. But that doesn't mean politicians and presidents haven't been profiting from these contracts, as we saw earlier. As you can imagine, I was getting excited. Here was a way to grow money that was better than Wall Street, tax-free, out of earshot from the IRS, and I couldn't lose a cent. But that was just the beginning. What I discovered next was even more intriguing. Disney, JCPenney, Ray Kroc, even the mighty Rothschild family. What do these great names have in common? They all started or grew their massive fortunes thanks to the magic contract. Let's take a short trip back to 1929. We're smack dab in the middle of the Great Depression and 9,000 banks are about to go bankrupt. JCPenney's fledgling chain of clothing stores is about to experience the same fate. Luckily, JC doesn't keep his money in the bank. He's got the bulk of his wealth stored in a magic contract, which by 1929 has grown to over $3 million in value. But the key question is it still safe? Yes, not a single dime would be affected during the Depression. Thanks to his magic contract, James Cash Penney was able to save his business, and today the JCPenney chain has grown to over 1,000 stores and is worth $1.8 billion. But he's not the only one to rely on this little-known contract. Ray Kroc used his magic contract to help start McDonald's. Doris Christopher, of the Pampered Chef fame, used it to launch a $1.5 billion fortune. And Walt Disney was also a big proponent, using $100,000 from his magic contract to fund Disneyland after all the financiers he approached with the idea had refused him. In fact, it's even rumored the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, two of the richest families in history, also relied heavily on the magic contract to grow their family fortunes. Well, you see, because these contracts are private agreements between individuals and the companies who provide them, it's very difficult to determine who does and who doesn't have a magic contract. That's just another reason the rich love it. But still, I found compelling evidence in old US congressional records that strongly suggest the Rockefellers used this contract. Take a look. Here's the cover page of this US Congress document. Although I can't show you the 38-page report here in its entirety, it goes on to describe how the family has links into at least 6 separate companies who provide magic contracts. And what about the Rothschilds? Well, the fact that one of the family members, Nathan, actually opened up a company providing a type of magic contracts in 1824 should tell you enough. As you can see, the magic contract is a powerful wealth vehicle that's been used by some of the world's richest to amass some of the greatest fortunes ever seen. But still, you may be wondering, if this is so great, why haven't I heard about it before? Good question. You see, even though the government restricts advertising on these contracts, companies that provide them can't use words like investments, savings, or retirement plan to describe them, even though that's what they really are. That's only part of the reason. In fact, the real reason may leave you a little mad. You see, there's a very good reason you've never heard about the magic contract before. That's because Wall Street doesn't want you to know about it, and neither do the big banks for that matter. But more on that in a minute. Now, even though this is the investment the Wall Street Journal is on record as saying is better than 401ks and IRAs, the majority of Americans don't even know it exists. Why? Well, here's a clue. I just got off the phone with an insider who works in this industry. This person has worked firsthand with one of America's biggest financial gurus, a name you'd instantly recognize, as well as several employees from Goldman Sachs and other big investment banks. And this is what this person said to me. No one in Wall Street has their money in stocks. Many of them are invested instead in magic contracts. Now consider what this means. Here are the same investment professionals who've been telling us for years to buy stocks, and meanwhile, they're all putting their money somewhere else. It's ridiculous. Can you imagine the outrage this would create if most people found out about this? That's why you'll never hear your broker mention this investment to you, no matter how much money he or she has parked in it. In fact, here's what Jason Rink, an ex-VP at Chase Bank, told us when we recently interviewed him.
It's a miracle anyone knows about these accounts at all. You have to realize there's a lot of money at stake here. It's not a mistake the talking heads on TV aren't talking about these accounts, the real strategies of wealth.
And while the mainstream media haven't picked up on these contracts yet, they have started to realize something doesn't add up on Wall Street. Consider this. According to a recent Morningstar study, out of 2,257 equity managers investigated, 51% owned zero stake in the funds they manage. And here's another story I found in the news. One employee from Merrill Lynch, who I won't name here, got caught in a series of private email exchanges calling the stocks they recommended pieces of junk and crap. It's enough to make your stomach turn. These are the investment professionals most people depend on for their retirements, for their future well-being. Is this the type of person you want to put in charge of growing your family's fortune? I don't. But if you can believe it, it actually gets worse. Here's the thing. While many people more or less suspect brokers engage in unscrupulous activities, Bernie Madoff, MF Global, etc., I'd wager the majority of Americans don't think of their local banker as someone who's corrupt. But the truth may startle you. Consider, while you're getting paid an average of 0.12% in your savings account, right now that's the national average across America, bankers are quietly taking the same money, putting it away in their own magic contracts, and secretly earning as much as 37 times more on your money, and they get to keep it. Well, I don't know about you, but the last time I went to my bank, no one told me about this special contract, a way I could just as easily earn up to 30 to 40 times more interest on my money. It's sickening. This is stuff people need to know right now, especially those nearing retirement who've seen their investment income stripped away to nothing, thanks to the Fed's crippling zero interest rate policy. In fact, because of lackluster yield, many people are now taking dangerous risks with their capital, and the results will prove to be even more disastrous in the months and years ahead. Now, I understand if you're saying, yeah, Tom, but I'm getting more than 0.12%. I have money locked away in a one-year CD that pays 1%. Well, that's great. But three things. First, you're still getting screwed by 400 to 500%. I'm currently earning a 5.5% yield in my magic contract. And remember, this is safe money that, if history is any indication, is all but guaranteed to go up. Second, don't forget about taxes and fees. For example, a 5.5% magic contract, which already includes fees, can be equivalent to a mutual fund that averages a 9.2% return. That's assuming a 30% tax bracket and 2% fees, which is only half the 4% fee Bloomberg reports as being the average for mutual funds. And lastly, unlike CDs, treasuries and the like, the money you store in a magic contract is not locked up for months and years. This is important. It means that if an emergency or new opportunity comes up, you can access your money in your magic contract fast. Plus, you don't have to pay any penalties to withdraw your money. Compare that to 401ks, for example, where you can only withdraw a maximum of $50,000, and you can also get slapped with 10% early withdrawal penalties. That's why it's so important you get this information today. This contract could literally save the retirement of thousands and even millions of Americans today. All right, I'll show you how to procure your own magic contract soon, but first, there's just one last thing about bankers I have to share with you before we move on. Take a look at the following chart. What you're looking at in green is the amount of money Bank of America has stored in its own magic contract, $18.5 billion. To put that in perspective, that's almost 20 times more than the money they spend on their 2.1 million square foot office building in Manhattan, the second highest building in New York City, located just a couple of blocks south of Times Square. And in fact, when you crunch the numbers, you'll find Bank of America has got more socked away in their magic contracts than the total amount it cost to build their entire 5,600 branch buildings across America. Incredible, but they're not the only ones putting away monster sums of money into these secret contracts. Chances are your bank is doing it too. Consider this. Citibank has $4.5 billion hidden away in their own magic contract. JP Morgan has $9.8 billion. And get this, Wells Fargo has over $19.3 billion invested in magic contracts, twice as much as they've invested in all their bank premises. All told, over 4,000 banks have $140 billion invested in magic contracts. And again, You're not seeing a single red cent of these higher returns credited to your account. All you get is the pesky 0 to 1% returns they throw our way. Now let me ask you a question. Am I the only one who finds it crazy that these bankers prefer stuffing money away in these special contracts rather than in their own banks? I hope not. And while it may seem absurd, I actually can't say that I blame them. You see, according to FDIC records, there have been 517 bank failures in America since the year 2000. No wonder these bankers don't even trust themselves. That's why one CEO from a Midwestern bank told his advisor magic contracts were the bank's best performing investment, and that he'd ordered his executives to put into this contract the maximum amount that the laws and regulators would allow. Now, while our source didn't reveal this CEO's identity, we did try contacting one Midwestern bank CEO. However, as soon as he heard what we wanted to discuss with him, he refused to talk. No surprise there. But big bankers and the crooks on Wall Street aren't the only ones who've discovered this secret. Corporate America has gotten in on the action too. Walmart, for example, takes advantage of the magic contract. So does GE, Comcast, Disney, Johnson & Johnson, Harley-Davidson, Gannett, Verizon, and nearly 700 other Fortune 1000 companies. In fact, Walmart believes so much in this idea that at one time they had more than 300,000 separate corporate versions of these contracts. Amazing. Now you might be wondering why these big companies love this contract. Here's the thing. These companies have some of the largest executive payrolls around. They have absolutely gigantic retirement packages to fund. Comcast's CEO, Brian Roberts, for example, is owed a $223 million pension over the course of his retirement. And to meet these obligations, companies haven't found a better way to grow their money and make sure it's there when they need it than by investing in the magic contract. But you don't have to be a Fortune 500 executive, a banker, or a Rockefeller to take advantage of this plan. In fact, it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, old, young, married, or single. Practically every person in America can take advantage of a magic contract. Here's how you can do it. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Tom Dyson, and I'm an accountant by trade. While working at the trading desks of Salomon Smith Barney and Citigroup in London, I used to oversee billions of dollars in trades each day. We sometimes cleared more than $1 million in profits in a single day, and I was paid handsomely for my work. But although I was doing well for myself, deep down I knew something didn't feel right. You see, helping rich bankers get richer was not my idea of fun. And although banking runs deep in my family's blood, my father was a banker, and my grandfather was chairman of the prestigious Barclays Bank in London. In 2004, I cut my ties with the banking industry for good and came to America. And since then, I've been helping one of the world's largest financial publishing companies make better investment recommendations for its readers. In 2006, for example, I recommended McDonald's when no other analyst would touch the stock with a 10-foot pole. This was after the Super Size Me documentary and other bad press beset the fast food giant. As a result, people who followed my recommendation back then have now turned every $10,000 they invested into $23,287. And in 2008, as the markets crumbled, I suggested my readers load up on Altria and Enterprise, two companies I'd uncovered that were primed for big growth. Readers who followed my recommendations back then are now sitting on gains of 183.4% and 242.8% respectively for these two picks. Today, I still share my investment research and findings through my research service, the Palm Beach Letter, which is now read by more than 65,000 people in 104 countries around the world. My aim is to help investors earn safe, above-average gains in what has easily become the most challenging investment environment of our time. And I think we've done pretty well for our readers so far. In fact, as of this presentation, 21 of the 28 recommendations in our model portfolio are in the black, 18 of them returning double-digit returns or better. And our readers have taken notice too. Take a look. These are just some of the letters we've received at our office here in Palm Beach, Florida. All told, we've received more than 1,200 personal letters and emails praising our work. It's all been very gratifying, but here's the thing. I say this not to brag, but rather to make a point. You see, although I've been able to help thousands of people make big gains in an otherwise listless market, the idea I've been sharing with you today is by far the most important thing you should be doing with your money right now. This is more important than real estate, precious metals, stocks, and every other investment you can think of. Why? Because there's nothing else like it. Where else can you find an investment opportunity that has paid out for 121 consecutive years, that has guaranteed results in some cases, that grows and can be withdrawn 100% tax-free when done the right way? An investment that offers returns 4 to 5 times better than similar investments, and where you can actually take out money whenever you like with no penalties or fuss whatsoever. Okay, Tom, so what's the catch? Look, the thing about the magic contract is that it won't allow you to double your money in 6 months. There's a reason this works, and it's because it doesn't promise you unreal, get-rich-quick results. But still, a tax-free 5% return in today's climate is a godsend for most retirees or soon-to-be retirees. And if you don't think so, clearly you haven't looked at what most banks are offering nowadays. Now, that doesn't mean you can't still play around in the stock market. Far from it. You can dabble in stocks while also setting up a secure magic contract today. It's actually what I do. In fact, I believe so strongly in the magic contract that I've now put away more than 20% of my family's net worth into it, and it's become my single largest investment. I've even opened up magic contracts for each of my 3 children, and because of this decision, they will definitely be financially set for life. My oldest son, Dusty, for example, will have about $4 million in his contract by the time he retires. Okay, so how do you start your own contract? Well, I recently shared all the details on this magic contract with my Palm Beach letter subscribers in a report called The Magic Contract: How to Fund Your Own Worry-Free, 100% Tax-Free Retirement. The report is short, simple, and easy to understand. Here's a brief look at what it contains. As I mentioned before, when set up properly, the magic contract runs totally outside the controls of Washington and Wall Street. So unlike your standard 401k or IRA, there are no forms whatsoever to submit to the US government. I'll show you how to get started easily, including who to contact and what to say. You can start your contract for less than the cost of a daily cup of coffee. Here's the important thing to remember. The companies that administer these contracts are not listed on the stock market. That means they work only in your best interests, not in the interests of outside stockholders. It's part of the reason these companies have a safer track record than banks. The report also covers how magic contracts provide such attractive returns. You see, by law, these companies have to pay out 100% of their dividends to you and other contract owners. In fact, one company that started in 1857, that's 4 years before the Civil War, has now paid out over $64 billion in dividends to magic contract holders. But that's only part of the reason their returns are so generous. Within an hour, you'll be able to zip through the report and know exactly how to set up your own magic contract, something not one American in 1500 knows how to do. You'll also be able to breathe a sigh of relief knowing you can finally get your retirement back on track and not have to risk your nest egg in the roller coaster ride that is the stock market. You'll be able to enjoy life, take vacations, play golf, go out to eat as often as you like, without spending every waking moment worrying about how your investments are doing. That's the freedom the magic contract affords. And because of how crucial this information is, I've decided to send you a copy of this report absolutely free of charge. All I ask in return is that you give my investment research service, the Palm Beach Letter, a try. In case you haven't noticed yet, I'm a big fan of safety. Maybe it's because of my accounting background, but I've never enjoyed taking big risks with my money. That's why I love the magic contract, and it's also why, for most of my career as an investment analyst, I've focused on stocks that provide safe, reliable income. In fact, I've studied everything from shipping stocks, pipeline stocks, BDCs, closed-end funds, REITs, resource trusts, MLPs, preferred stocks, convertible bonds, regional banks, blue chip stocks, and dozens more. And it's the same safe, income-based approach that forms the basis of the Palm Beach Letter model portfolio. You see, while the magic contract now forms the crux of our financial strategy and lies outside the stock market, we also supplement this with a few carefully chosen stock recommendations. But here's the secret. While many people are now turning to dividends in search of yield, the simple fact is most people are turning to the wrong ones. The Coca-Colas and Johnson & Johnsons of the world are great, and they do have their places in a well-balanced portfolio. But if you want to maximize your chances of compounding wealth as quickly as possible through dividends, you have to focus on the blue chip stocks of tomorrow. And your best bet of doing that is through a special class of dividend-paying stocks we've uncovered called the Relentless Dividend Raisers. In fact, I hired a full-time researcher with a degree in actuarial statistics to help me build a comprehensive list of these stocks. After we finished screening all 15,000 stocks trading in America, only 17 made the cut. The dividends these companies pay are bigger and they grow faster. But chances are You've never heard of these companies before. That's because most of them are small, little-known companies that toil away in boring and decidedly unsexy industries. For example, one company we recommended in 2011 is a small French perfume manufacturer that trades on the Nasdaq called Inter Parfums. We liked the company for a variety of reasons. It had high margins, heavy insider ownership, and most of all, it had 6 straight years of dividend increases, averaging 50% a year. Because of this, Palm Beach Letter subscribers who followed our recommendation were able to bag up to 81% while collecting healthy dividends to boot. But there are 5 more stocks right now that deserve your attention, even more so than Inter Parfums. We've put together every detail about these 5 relentless dividend earners in a special report called the 552% Income Boost, the Dividend Deluvia. This report gives our detailed research on why each of these 5 dividend superstars is primed for spectacular dividend growth over the next coming years. This report, like your report on magic contracts, comes free when you begin your trial of the Palm Beach Letter. Now you may be wondering, is the Palm Beach Letter right for my specific situation? While we have subscribers in many different fields and financial situations, only you will be able to tell for sure. However, there's one way for sure to know if the Palm Beach Letter is not for you. If you're looking to make 10 times your money in the next 3 months, you can stop watching this video right now. This is certainly not the publication for you. I don't gamble with the recommendations I make for my paying readers who trust me for my insights. You see, there's a reason lotteries offer high returns, and that's because most people lose. The saying, the greater the risk, the greater the return, is a myth perpetuated by stockbrokers to make it okay for them to lose your money. The rich have another saying, and it goes like this: the greater the risk, the greater the chance of loss. That's our philosophy. We'll never hide what we really think, even though it's not the most popular opinion out there. We'll tell you what you really need to know to make money, not some pipe dream. For example, here's another technique we've uncovered that allows investors to make modest gains time after time. In fact, with this method, you can extract money from what I call the secondary stock market 96% of the time. No, you won't make triple-digit returns with this play. However, I'm willing to bet when you see the results and consistency we've already received with this strategy, you won't really mind these modest gains. While I was working in London at the trading desks of Citigroup and Salomon Smith Barney, we used a secret strategy to make money on almost every trade. I call this the banker's code. You see, the banker's code works for the very same reason casinos always come out ahead. The system is hardwired in their favor. While most people invest in the stock market, hoping their stock will go up, the rich don't hope. They put their money on the sure bets, the ones proven to produce money time and time again. You see, if most people lose on the stock market, that means some people are winning most of the time. Does this technique work? Consider this. 120 out of the 123 banker code full trade cycles we recommended have been winners. In fact, in one stretch alone, we made 78 consecutive winning recommendations. Brian M., one of our subscribers, tells us he's earned $83,000 in just 7 months by using this strategy. And it's also helped put my dad's retirement back on track after the 2008 crash decimated his portfolio. Now, unfortunately, that's about all I can tell you about this strategy here, because I've kept the specifics reserved for paying subscribers. However, we've put all the details together on how you can take advantage of this strategy in a special report called The Banker's Code: How to Make Money 96% of the Time on the Secondary Stock Market. This report is easy to read and just as easy to put into action. And if you're going to play the markets at all, this is one strategy you absolutely need to know. In fact, the Dalbar financial research firm recently released a report that showed investors only guessed right in the market 42% of the time last year. With this strategy, you could boost your win ratio to making money 96% of the time. Doesn't it make sense to put all the odds in your favor? I think so. That's why I also want to send you this report free of charge, just for giving the Palm Beach Letter a try. Okay, so how do you know if the Palm Beach Letter is right for you? If you're like most readers, you'll want solid recommendations that bring above average returns and let you sleep well at night. Well, Linda, one subscriber, wrote in to tell us that since joining our research service last April, she's up 78%. Another subscriber, Kelly Briscoe, told us of how she'd just about given up on finding a way to preserve and grow her earnings before finding our service. And here's another comment we recently found on an independent third-party website. "This is the best overall letter that I've ever subscribed to," writes Richard. "I keep track of their portfolio and wish I had bought all of them and sat on them." Now that's all fine and dandy, but since I can't be 100% sure our letter is a fit for you, here's what I suggest. Take the next full year to try the Palm Beach Letter. Take advantage of a full year's guidance, absolutely risk-free, and decide for yourself if you like what you see. You'll get to view 12 full issues of the letter, with a new issue arriving direct to your inbox on the first Thursday of every month. You'll also get immediate access to our full archive of past issues, as well as to our full suite of research reports. And of course, we'll send you the 3 research reports I've already told you about in this video, including the magic contract, how to fund your own worry-free, 100% tax-free retirement. You'll also get the 552% income boost, the Dividend Deluvia. And you'll get the banker's code, how to make money 96% of the time on the secondary stock market. Take a full year to review everything at your own leisure. Reread the issues and reports, send me your questions, and even put some of these ideas into practice. Then, if you don't like any single thing you read within the next year, just say the word and I will gladly refund 100% of your purchase price, no questions asked. Does that sound fair? Okay, by now I know you may be wondering about price. How much is this all going to cost? Well, less than you might expect, especially when you consider the magic contract can provide you with thousands of dollars a month in a worry-free, tax-free retirement. My friend John, for example, is using his to fund what will turn out to be a $100,000 a month retirement. But before I give you the specifics, there's one more opportunity I'd like to tell you about. I recommend you take advantage of this situation soon. It's no secret that an incredible energy boom is taking place in America right now. It's all thanks to the shale energy explosion and the new fracking process, which allows drillers to extract oil horizontally. As a result of this breakthrough, oil rigs from Texas to North Dakota are now humming with activity. In fact, so much new oil is coming up into the pipeline that the Pira Energy Group recently reported that America has just overtaken Russia and Saudi Arabia as the world's largest oil producer. It's amazing. But while most investors are focused on the explorers and producers, the companies that find the deposits and bring the oil to market, there's a third group of companies involved in the oil boom everyone has completely overlooked so far. I call these the third wave oil companies. These are the ones that will continue to prosper long after the oil rigs come to a halt. This is the ultimate safe play on oil, and it's how seasoned investors are taking advantage of the coming boom. I've put all the details on how you can profit from this tremendous opportunity in a special report called The Third Wave, How to Profit from America's Coming Oil Boom. This report is also yours to keep completely free of charge when you try out the Palm Beach letter. Just one word of caution though. Remember that, as with any boom, those who get in early stand to profit the most. Okay, so let's move on. Here's how you can get started with your trial subscription today. First, how much would you expect to pay for the research you'll receive with your Palm Beach letter subscription? Well, if you hired my team of researchers for a full year to put all this information together for you, you'd be looking at a bill that's well over $500,000. But because our costs are divided among thousands of subscribers across the globe, you won't have to pay anywhere near that amount. In fact, the normal price of the Palm Beach letter is an affordable $99. That's $99 per year, not per month. For $99, you'll receive 12 monthly issues of the letter, weekly portfolio updates, as well as the 4 research reports I've already described to you in this video. Now, given the fact that we've already received more than 1,200 written testimonials from happy subscribers, we consider this to be more than a fair price. In fact, subscriber Phil Dobkin told us that this is the best $99 he's ever spent. However, given the importance of the material I presented to you today, and especially the magic contract, which is the absolute first thing you should read right now, I've decided to do something special. Right now in this special presentation, I'll knock $50 off your subscription price. That means you'll pay just $49 for a full year of our research. Short of picking up the phone and setting up your magic contract for you, which obviously I can't do, I figured this would be the best way to leave you with more money to start funding your contract with. So it's a good head start. But that's not all I'm going to do. I'll also include in your subscription a second newsletter, absolutely free. When I was first approached to start the Palm Beach letter 3 years ago, I knew I wanted it to be very different. You see, while I was confident I could teach people how to safely make money by investing, I also knew many people needed to grow their wealth before turning to the stock market. Because let's face it, if you start out with $10,000, even if you double your money, you're still only looking at a $20,000 total. In other words, investing works best if you have a decent amount of wealth to start off with. That's where my business partner Mark Ford comes in. Mark and I started the Palm Beach letter together, and he knows more about building wealth than anyone else I know. In fact, under a pen name, Mark has published several #1 best-selling books on wealth building. But unlike many other best-selling money gurus, Mark actually made his money by building successful businesses, not by writing books. All told, Mark has been involved in well over 30 different businesses, several of which have reached the 7-figure mark, and he now holds an 8-figure personal fortune thanks to these ventures. So Mark knows how to make money, and even better, he's agreed to share his secrets with you too, in a second newsletter you'll receive along with your Palm Beach letter subscription, called Mark Ford's Creating Wealth. This letter covers Mark's best wealth-boosting techniques, including the fastest way to get a raise at work, how to go out on your own to make a fortune, as well as the $10 trick, which instantly makes it easier for anyone to acquire wealth. So in other words, you get 2 newsletters each month for the price of 1. In Creating Wealth, Mark will show you how to build your wealth by using techniques anyone can start using today. And in the Palm Beach letter, I'll show you how to make the safe, consistent returns on your wealth by investing. It's the 1-2 combination that makes us unique in the industry. I guarantee you won't find information like this anywhere else. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, so let's recap everything you'll receive with your risk-free trial. You'll receive 12 monthly issues of the Palm Beach letter delivered on the first Thursday of every month. You'll also receive a second complimentary newsletter, Mark Ford's Creating Wealth, delivered to you every few weeks. You'll get immediate access to your special report on the magic contract, which you should read immediately after you finish watching this video. You'll get immediate access to your special report on the best dividend stocks to own today, the 552% income boost, the Dividend Deluvia. You'll also get access to your special report on how to use the banker's code to make money 96% of the time in the markets, as well as the special report that shows you how to profit from America's coming oil boom. All yours for only $49. 50% off the regular subscription price. And remember, you're covered by our full 365-day guarantee, which means that if you aren't satisfied with anything you receive, you can ask for a full refund, no questions asked, anytime within the next year. Simply call or send an email. I think that's a pretty fair deal. Okay, so here's what you need to do next. There should be a link below this video. When you click this link, you'll be taken to a new page that again recaps everything you'll receive with your risk-free trial subscription. Then at the bottom of this page, you'll see an option to pay by using any standard credit card. After you complete your order, you'll receive all your research reports by email. You'll also get directions on how to access our full archive of past issues of the Palm Beach letter and Mark's Creating Wealth. That way, you can start growing your money and investing it wisely today. However, first things first, make sure you read the report on magic contracts immediately. I cannot stress this enough. Remember, this is the secret investment several presidents, Fortune 500 companies, and even bankers have used for over 150 years to safeguard and grow their money. Bankers prefer putting money here than in their own banks. But there's one last thing I should mention about these contracts. You may want to set up your own magic contract relatively quickly. You see, there have been at least 13 serious attempts to repeal the tax advantages of this underground investment, with the most recent rumblings coming at the end of 2012. As our money-hungry government looks for new ways to reduce its mammoth debt, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they set their sights on the magic contracts very soon. Luckily, when you fund your contract now, even with a small amount, you should be grandfathered in. That way, if a change does take place, you can keep taking full advantage of this account while future people get locked out. And I'd hate for that to happen to you, especially when it's so easy to get started. I've laid out all the groundwork for you in the report on magic contracts you'll receive free with your subscription. Just click on the link below to get started. Okay, I think that's about it. I look forward to welcoming you as part of our Palm Beach letter inner circle very soon. Click the link below this presentation now. You can review the details of your trial subscription before making up your mind. And remember, if you're not 100% convinced after an entire year of trying this unique advisory service, you're fully covered by our 365-day no hassles guarantee. If you aren't absolutely happy with your subscription, at any time in the next 12 months, I insist you call and request a full refund of your money. Your refund will be sent to you immediately, even if you request a refund the day before your subscription expires. All you have to do is click the link below this presentation, fill in your details on the next page, and take a full year to try the Palm Beach letter yourself.